I look at a lot of music licensing services, so what, if anything, does Soundstripe have to set them apart and make them worth your money? Well, it's not super great. I'm not going to beat around the bush. We need to take a look at the price of this site because everything else has to be judged under that lens. Their personal account, which is good for YouTubers, is $10 a month, and the Pro one for multi-channel creators and client work is $20 a month when billed annually. If you want to pay for 1 month at a time, then these prices double, which is a pretty standard thing. They try to incentivize you to pay for a year in advance. This is nothing new. Soundstripe's pricing puts them at just slightly more expensive than Epidemic Sound, and Epidemic Sound, it has been my favorite music licensing service for years running, so at this price point we should demand a lot. That brings up the next important numerical metric, which is quantity. Soundstripe has around 10,000 songs and 100,000 sound effects, which is a far cry from Epidemic's 50,000 tracks and 200,000 sound effects. Ouch. You definitely feel it too. I mean, 10,000 songs is not a whole lot, and I see a lot of repetition in getting like the same artists or songs recommended over and over again. I've used both of these sites and spent hours listening to music from them, so believe me when I tell you that they both have good music. There's no real big quality difference to make up that quantity to price difference. That said, I could potentially be judging this on outdated information because while their pricing page says 10,000 songs, the homepage actually says 58,000 songs, which is a huge difference. That doesn't track with my experience of feeling that the quantity is lacking on Soundstripe though. I could be wrong, but what I think we're dealing with here is just some clever marketing jargon because Soundstripe has alternate versions of almost all of their tracks, and they also have a whole other section of the site called the market section where you can pay for individual licensing for songs, and I think that 58,000 number is including those different versions or the marketplace section. Regardless, the best case scenario is that Soundstripe and Epidemic have the same number of assets. So in that case, I want to see the slight price difference with Soundstripe being a little bit more expensive made up in the user interface or the tools. Soundstripe has a very similar UI to Epidemic in a lot of ways. They both recommend songs based on your previous downloads, have a filter-driven music search tool, plenty of pre-curated playlists, stems for their tracks, and their own variations of AI-powered search. I actually like Soundstripe's implementation of this a little bit better because while Epidemic's is sort of like a typical search bar that can understand when you're describing something and find you similar tracks, Soundstripe's is more of an AI chat that will prompt you to give it more details so that you can really flesh out the exact type of track that you're looking for. That said, Epidemic is able to match songs to Spotify links so that you can find something similar to a mainstream track that you like, and Soundstripe is not able to do this. Both sites also offer a way for AI to cut up new versions of their tracks. This is where Epidemic really comes out on top because their versions tool automatically crafts a new song with any part of the old track that you want to include, and it'll make it begin and end within 1 or 2 seconds of the exact timestamp that you need that track to be. Soundstripe's answer to this is a much more manual system where you drag and drop different sections of a song to assemble your own music track, which is cool in theory, but in reality much more limiting to the duration of the track that you can use and just how the song sounds in general. Sometimes song segments blend together perfectly and you can't tell at all that it's been edited. Other times it's really pretty obvious that there's a cut there. Either way, it takes a lot more time and effort than Epidemic. Epidemic also has a much more robust find similar tool that uses AI to find tracks that match whatever segment of a song you like, while Soundstripe just kind of gives you a handful of options with similar tags to the one that you're searching off of. Both sites do have extensions that allow you to drag and drop tracks directly into your editing software, but again, Epidemic does have a few more features here, like the ability to use AI to analyze your timeline and find music and sound effects that match your footage. But what's kind of most important is the compatibility of these extensions with different softwares. Soundstripe's works with Premiere Pro, Twitch, and Frame.io, while Epidemic's works with the entire Adobe suite as well as DaVinci Resolve. So depending upon what tools you use, this will kind of of dictate which extension you might prefer. Finally, when it comes to clearing your videos, the sites are pretty much identical. You can link your YouTube channels directly in the account content ID page or paste video URLs to directly clear any client work. The only big difference here is that Epidemic allows you to directly link any of your other social media accounts, podcasts, and websites in addition to YouTube. Soundstripe provides clearance for all of these use cases as well, but they just don't require you to link those different accounts. I mentioned this before, but the Soundstripe also has a market page where you can pay to license songs individually for your projects. But this is still in beta, and currently I really haven't found anything that I would consider worth the licensing fee on here. It's not like you can get mainstream radio songs in this area. Epidemic's only offering beyond the music and sound effects is a text-to-speech voiceover tool, which is also in beta, but it works pretty well and even offers the ability to model your own voice, which is really sweet. So would you use either of these? I don't know, but it's just like the bonus stuff that they offer, and to me, Epidemic, the voiceover tool, is just like a little bit more helpful than the single licensing thing from Soundstripe. My opinion. I do think that Soundstripe has improved a lot since last year, but my main issue with them remains the same, namely their lack of quantity and the fact that their tools and user interface are less impressive than Epidemic Sound, yet for some reason they're more expensive. It just doesn't make sense. Epidemic even offers a free trial and Soundstripe doesn't. It's just hard for me to recommend anything but Epidemic in this case, but if you want to know more about Epidemic Sound and compare them to their other competitors, you should watch this video up over here where I dive in deep on that subject.